Hello, this is Clay Brown. Today we're going to be reading in our Hebrew, from our Hebrew Tanakh, and we are currently in Genesis chapter 11. We're going to take 3 verses, verses 1, 5, and 10. We're going to break it down a little bit and do some interpretation. So follow me. Genesis 11:1. Let's see here. Let's do the Hebrew first. Wayehi kal ha'eretz shafa echad wud barim achadim. And in English, that is, and there was on all the earth, language 1, or we would pronounce this first, and there was on the earth one language, and speech 1, or we pronounce this first, one speech. So, once again, go back to this, and there was on the earth one language and one speech. When we take this, we look at the verbs, as we always tend to try to do. The very first word, and there was, a state of being verb, and it is in the conversive va. We know because it's wa and yod at the beginning, and at the beginning of a word of a verb, and we know that in Hebrew, what's the standard syntax order? We usually, standard syntax in Hebrew, not always, but normally, we have the verb at the very beginning, the first word, followed by, well, we're not going to get into that yet, because it doesn't quite follow that. But anyway, verb is usually at the front of the Hebrew sentence. So let's now go to eleven 5. We're going to do the same, follow the same pattern. English first, Hebrew first. Wayered, Yod He, Vav He, Leraot, Et, Ha'ir, Ve'et, Hamigdol, Asher, Banu, Bani, or Bane, Ha'eretz. Now the English is, and he came up, God, or Adonai, the unspoken name for God, Yod, He, Vav, He, right, the tetragrammaton, to the city, to see the city and the tower which they made, that is, the sons of man. Let's do a little identifying of verbs here. At the beginning of the sentence, which is common in Hebrew, right? Like we just said, verb usually is very often the very first word of the sentence. Here it is, and then the very next thing. This is traditional common structure here. First the verb, he came up, and then the actor of the verb, God. It was God who came up. Now we have another verb, to see. It has an infinitive nature because it has in this case, they just put the preposition to in front. Hebrew can form infinite verbs without using the preposition. I always like preposition because it makes it a little more straightforward, a little more English-like. You have the direct object marker, same here. So what did he rise up to see? the city and the tower, and it was the what they made. We have the right here. Oops, sorry. Didn't quite get that right. Right here, that prefix is for third person, so plural, they made. And then who was they? The sons, B'nai, sons of man. And now we're going to go to the last verse on our list today. And let's see, there we go. In Hebrew first, Ele Toldot Sham. Missing something here, aren't I? Let's go back and I'm going to fill this in so I can squeeze this in here. This is another sheen. When I copied this down, it just like this one. There's another one here. Sham, and then Sham again. Sham ben me'ot or me'at shana waye waled et ar fakshad shana ta'im achar ha-mav'ul. In the English, these, the generations of Sham. Sham was 100 years. He begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And then let's look here further and see if we can find, there is going to be one verb, and it is going to be yalad, or wayalad, because, as is the case in so many of these verbs, they are, you have the wa, and then the next letter is the yod, because it is conversive va, wayalad, which is he begat. And it is a, as we have discussed over and over again, and we'll run across these, they'll be in almost every verse, the conversive wa. It's a form in the that's attached to a verb to show that this is narrative. This is not poetry. Genesis is not poetry, regardless of what some may say. It is historical narrative. One other thing before I leave you, that is this right here, Toledot. Remember, we talked about Toledot from just a couple of verses ago, and kind of gave a little synopsis of what Toledot means and the theories behind it. That very interesting to me, the theory that this wording is exactly the same as in ancient Babylonian and Assyrian cuneiform tablets when recording the genealogies in archives in Nineveh and Babylon and all kinds of places. So the idea is, or the question is, did Moses also get the book of Genesis from archive? In other words, instead of being dictated to him by God, did he just do some research and act as a historian in this case, whereas acting like a secretary and personal assistant to God in the following 4 verses of the Torah? Just something to ask, to consider. So, God bless, and I will see you for Genesis chapter 12.